Good afternoon, learning. My name is Omar, and I'll be your teacher today. I hope you can hear me clearly because it is raining on my side here seriously. But nevertheless, let us just continue. Today we shall talk about the larger topic, computer systems, under its hardware, and specifically for today it will be input devices. Welcome. Before we begin this lesson today, let us go through a few objectives that you should achieve by the end of the lesson. By the end of this lesson, first of all, you should be able to define these three terms. You should be able to give the meaning of what a system is. You should be able to define what a computer system is, and also you should be able to give the meaning of hardware. On top of it, you should also be able to describe or explain what keying devices are, pointing devices, and also scanning devices. Apart from the three devices, you should also be able to describe how other input technologies actually work, including speech recognition, touchscreens, digitizers, among others. Without much ado, let us get to work. Let's get started. What's a system? A system can be defined as a collection of related parts or entities or components which work together collectively in order to achieve a common goal, or sometimes we even say a common purpose. So meaning that a system is not just a single entity, but a collection of related entities that together work so that a given purpose or a common purpose is achieved. Let's look at some of the examples of systems. Actually, we have got tons of them, but I just picked three for the purpose of demonstration. On your screen on the left, you can see there is a depiction of what we call a solar system. At the center of that black image, there is that yellow glowing round object which is representing the sun. And then we have got those smaller balls that are moving around it, representing the planets. So in this context, we can say that the solar system comprises of the sun, the planets, moons, comets, asteroids, and all those bodies that normally revolve around the sun. On your right hand side on the screen, you can see also there is a depiction there of a human circulatory system. This object at the center here represents the heart. You can even see it is animated as if it is pumping. These blue and red lines represents veins and arteries, and probably it is pumping blood. So again here you can see that this circulatory system comprises of the heart, the veins and arteries, the blood itself, and others. Down here below, you can see a depiction of a road network system where you can see several types of vehicles. You can see the roads themselves, traffic lights, pedestrians, cyclists, and so on and so forth. So okay, you can see that what these three systems share in common is that they are comprised of components or parts that work together for a given purpose. Without wasting time, let us now go to our area of interest. Our area of interest is actually computer systems. So the big question is, what is a computer system? A computer system can be defined as a collection of entities that work together to process and manage information using computers. I'll come again. It refers to a collection of entities that work together to process and manage information using computers. Now, a computer system consists of three main components. Namely, on your screen you can see the hardware on the left, the software on the right, and then down there you can see the liveware. Those are the three major components that together form the computer system. Just in brief, let us look at them and highlight. Hardware refers to all tangible parts of the computer system, meaning that any part of the computer system that you can physically touch or feel is regarded as hardware. So anything that you can touch and feel that is part of a computer system is actually hardware. On the other hand, software refers to programs or apps or applications installed on the computer. As we shall see later, hardware itself cannot do anything. Actually, it is this software that will guide this hardware on what to do. It is the software that gives this hardware that life that enables now you, the user, to carry out a given task using the computer. The third arm here is the liveware, and liveware here we are talking about the human point of view. Despite the presence of this hardware and software, they can still not work without human intervention. That is why the computer user is also regarded as part of the computer system, and we call that one liveware. Some texts also call it orgware. Why? Because it may not just refer to the user alone, but even that organization, that human environment within which that computer is operating. So let us look at this hardware in terms of classification. Hardware also can be further classified into four major groups. So meaning that any part of the computer system that you can touch and feel can either be these four components that you are seeing on your screen. Beginning with the first one, input devices. These are devices that are used to enter data and instructions into the computer. So if you want to enter any data or any instructions into the computer, the device that you will be using falls under input devices. The second type of hardware is the processor, or the central processing unit, CPU. This is the component that carries out processing by changing data into information. Remember, data is just raw facts that may not have much meaning, or that may not be so much useful to the user unless it has been changed into a form that has got more meaning, which is information. So it is the CPU that does this transformation of changing data into information. Let's go to the third type of hardware, the output devices. Now, after data has been changed into information, we require devices that will be able to give out this information to the user. These are output devices. So output devices are those that are used to give out information to the user after processing is complete, or after processing has taken place. And then lastly, the fourth one are storage devices. These are devices that are used to retain information in case it will be needed in the future. So those devices that store, that keep, that retain, or that persists information so that it can be available in the future are storage devices. So let's go back to the narrow area that we shall cover today, which is input devices. Input devices can also be categorized into several groups. You can see there on your screen, we have got keying devices. Just from the word keying is related to keys. So these are devices that are used to enter data and instructions by pressing their keys. We shall look at this one just in a moment. The second type of input devices are pointing devices. These devices are used to enter data and instructions by controlling a special pointer across the screen. We shall also look at that shortly. And then we have got scanning devices or scanners. Scanning devices are those ones that capture data directly into the computer. Actually, when we use scanners, we don't need to control a pointer, we don't need to press keys, but the data is just captured instantly and directly into the computer, as we shall see in a moment. We also got speech recognition devices. These are devices that are used to enter data and instructions in the form of spoken words. In the form of spoken words. So meaning that we don't press keys, we don't control any pointer, but we just speak. As we speak, this data or instruction is captured by the computer. Now, apart from keying, pointing, scanning, and speech devices, we've got also other devices that use other technologies. For example, we have got touch screens, digitizers, and many others which we shall just look or come across in the course of this lesson. Now, let us look at some of the examples of keying devices. Remember, we said that these are devices that are used to enter data and instructions by pressing their keys. And obviously what comes to your mind is the keyboard. The keyboard is the most common of these input devices. And you can see here on your screen, even keyboards, we have got different types of keyboards. The first one that you can see there is a standard keyboard. A standard keyboard is just a keyboard that you will find anywhere, at school, in the office, at home, and the like. We've got also an ergonomic keyboard. These are keyboards that have been modified in such a way that they increase comfort to the user. So the design of this ergonomic keyboard is based on how comfortable this user can be, especially for the users who type or use the keyboard for long periods of time. Another type of keyboard that we have here is the flexible keyboard. The flexible keyboard normally is more convenient for travelers because it is just made of some rubbery flexible material that you can just roll or fold and then put in your bag as you travel. You've got also another one that has not been included here, which is the Braille keyboard. The Braille keyboard is a specialized type of keyboard that is meant for the visually impaired users, or those users that do not have the ability to see. That is the Braille keyboard. Now, the second type of keying device is the keypad. Actually, the keypad is just almost a keyboard but at a smaller scale. It's a miniature type of keyboard. Normally, keypads are used on portable devices. For example, laptops. So the one that you have on the laptop is not a keyboard but a keypad. You can also look at your screen. We have got a keypad from an ATM machine. We have a keypad from a calculator. We have a keypad from a phone, and so on and so forth. So keypads are just same as keyboards, but at a smaller or at a reduced scale. Let's talk about pointing devices. These are devices, remember what we said, that are used to enter data and instructions by controlling a special pointer on the screen. My learner, I hope you can hear me well because it is raining seriously as I told you, but we can just continue nevertheless. The most common type of pointing device is the mouse, and as you can see on your screen, we have got a mouse with a cable or cord. This is the most common one. But on the other hand, we also have a cordless mouse. A cordless mouse is also called a wireless mouse. The second type of pointing device is a trackball, and you can see I've got 3 of them there. The first one is a trackball that is separate. The second one, you can see it has been included into the keypad of a laptop, and also we have got a third one. The third example of a pointing device is a joystick. Joysticks usually, in most cases, are used for entertainment, like playing games. Joysticks can also be used in controlling machinery, like robots or robotic arms and other mechanical machines. Another example of a pointing device is what we call a light pen. Now, a light pen is used with the special screens or monitors. There are special screens or monitors that are sensitive to the light pen, where the user can be able to select items using the light pen on the monitor, or can also be able to write or draw figures directly onto the monitor. Let's move to scanning devices. Remember we said these are devices that are used to capture data directly into the computer. Basically, we have got 2 major types of scanners. The first scanner are the optical scanners. So optical scanners are those scanners that use or capture data using light technology. So just from the word optical, optics. Optics is something to do with the light. Now, these devices use special light called laser. When the laser beam is shining onto the data area, it is reflected back to the device, and the data is able to be captured directly. Now, examples of optical scanners, the first one, as you can see there, is the OBR, the optical bar recognition. Now, in this technology, barcodes are captured using the barcode reader. Now, barcodes are lines of different thicknesses that are used to hold information, in most cases information about items. I believe that you, the learner, has at one time or many times visited a retail store such as a supermarket, and you've been able to observe how these barcodes are captured by the teller as you pay your goods. So those lines of different thicknesses actually are coded information. So when the barcode reader shines the laser beam on the barcodes, that laser beam is again reflected back, and then that data is captured directly by the computer. Now, the second one here that you can see is the OMR, the optical mark recognition. The optical mark recognition is a type of scanner that detects marks made on a piece of paper using a pencil or a pen. So the OMR reader then scans these marks that have been made on the piece of paper, again using a special light called infrared. Now, there are many areas that or where this OMR is applicable. For example, it is normally preferred to use this when marking multiple choice exams. For those who did KCPE, I think this image that I'm pointing to is a bit familiar, whereby you were able to shade those eclipses that represents the answer. So when this paper is being marked, it is inserted into this device or a similar one that you can see me pointing at here, and then this technology is able to read or to capture data through those marks that you made by shading with a pen or a pencil. They are also used to mark research questions. They are also used to analyze questionnaires and many areas, not just in exams alone. The third type of optical scanner that we have here is the OCR, the optical character recognition. Now, this is the most advanced type of scanner, and it operates just like the human eye. Why do I say this? Because this type of scanner cannot just capture lines or marks, but it captures anything from text, pictures, drawings, to even real objects. For all those that have gone to computer bureaus such as cybers, you have been able to observe this OCR in action, whereby, for example, you can find people scanning their IDs, scanning their certificates and other documents, as you can see it illustrated down here. Now remember, we said that there are two types of scanners. The first one was optical scanners. Optical scanners are those that use light technology to capture data directly. The second type of scanners are the magnetic scanners. These types of scanners capture data directly using magnetic technology. This means that the data that is being read is either in form of magnetic characters or in the form of a magnetic stripe. The first one here, an example of a magnetic scanner here is what we call the MICR, the magnetic ink character recognition. Now, this technology here is used to detect or to read characters that have been printed using a special magnetic ink. My first image that you can see here is an image that depicts a check. I hope the learner, you have at one time come across a check, and if you haven't, maybe you can contact your parent if there is any, so that he or she can be able to show you. If you look at a check carefully, just near the bottom somewhere where you can see me pointing here, there are some funny characters. These funny characters are the magnetic characters, meaning that the ink that was used to print these characters is magnetic. Now, on the right hand side here is now the scanner itself. So for this check to be processed, the data here is captured by passing it through this check reader. This is called a check reader. This check reader actually is the MICR, the magnetic ink character recognition. The second one here, though there is a typing error here, is actually the magnetic stripe. So delete that magnetic ink character recognition here and replace number 2 here with magnetic stripe or magnetic stripe recognition. Stripe, S-T-R-I-P-E. magnetic stripe recognition. Now, a magnetic stripe is a thin magnetic tape that is often found at the back of a plastic card, such as an ATM card, a Visa card, etc, etc. In fact, if you look at my image here, just where I'm pointing, you can see this plastic card has a black stripe running across the bottom. That is the area that is called the magnetic stripe. So to capture data from this card here, for example, things to do with bank details, you can see here it is being swiped through a card reader. This card reader uses the magnetic stripe recognition technology. So as you swipe this, the data is captured directly. Another example where this is applied is at the ATM machine. Remember, as you observe your parent pushing in that ATM card, it goes in. Then after some time, after entering details here and there, and after the transaction is complete, it is removed. So that area that it enters inside, there is a card reader that is similar to the one I'm pointing at right now, and it uses this technology called the magnetic stripe recognition. So as I've said, just delete this mistyped line and then replace it. Okay, let us move. Now, remember we have said that we also have what we call the speech recognition or voice input, whereby we say this is where data is captured into the computer. Data and instructions are captured into the computer by means of spoken words. So as you can see here, the picture of this lady who appears to be saying some words, and then this is a portable computer, probably something like a smartphone, and she is able to enter data and instructions by just talking. And remember, this cannot be possible if you don't have a voice capturing device. That is why on this image you can see I have a microphone here. On this image also I have got what we call a headset. A headset also has got a microphone here that can be used to capture the spoken words. Remember, learner, that this method is one of the methods that is preferred for those that are handicapped or physically handicapped. You can imagine somebody without hands, for example, cannot be able to use a keying device because they cannot type. They cannot be able to use a pointing device because they cannot hold something like a mouse or joystick. And also cannot even be able to use the scanning devices because they cannot hold them. That is why this is a very good method in terms of people who are physically handicapped. However, this technology is still under development because in itself it has many challenges. For example, number one, it is not able to take care of a few issues or speech problems like accents. Remember, learner, we don't all talk the same. Everybody talks in their own way, depending on the environment that you are raised or where you are born or where you are currently. So it's a challenge for the computer to sometimes distinguish what we mean in our accents. It doesn't also take care of things like your tone and the rest. So it also comes with its own challenges. Now remember, learner, when I say that we have got also other devices or other technologies that can also be used to capture data and instructions. And as you can see here, we have got the touch screen. The touch screen currently is so common, and I'm almost 99% confident that you, the learner, has at one time used a touch screen, be it a mobile phone, a tablet, a laptop, computer, or even just a desktop computer but with a monitor that is touch sensitive. So you can see here, they vary, they come in all shapes and sizes and types. So how does this touch screen operate? Actually, what happens is that this screen, that screen that you are using for touch has been divided into rows and columns, though they are very, very tiny. So as the user uses the finger to touch the screen, the computer is able to locate the exact position where the finger has touched, and then the appropriate action is able to be taken. So it's an input method that utilizes technology of a touch-sensitive screen. So not every screen is sensitive to this touch, but that screen must be a touch-sensitive screen. So as I said, when the user touches the screen, the computer detects the position of the finger and responds accordingly. Touch screens are mostly used in public places like hotels, airports, banking halls, etc. Though nowadays they are also the most preferred with portable devices or portable computers such as smartphones, such as tablets and the like. We also have got another device here called the interactive whiteboard. Sometimes they also call it the smartboard. Now, this whiteboard just resembles the whiteboard that you use in class, except that now this is interactive. Interactive means that it is able to respond to your commands. Actually, this interactive whiteboard is just like the touch screen, but it is so huge, covering almost the entire wall. Learner, if you have been able to watch TV and maybe sometimes after news, you have the presenter talking about weather patterns. Then you see a large mark behind there. You can see the presenter swiping or touching that screen, and then information is updated or changes. That is the interactive whiteboard that we are talking about here. So you can see the user just uses the finger to swipe and touch in order to interact with objects, just the same way as the touch screen. And then learner also here, we have got the digitizers. Now digitizers are sometimes also called graphic tablets. So a digitizer is also a graphic tablet, and it is almost similar to a light pen, but instead it has a graphic tablet in which the user writes on using a device called a stylus. Stylus is S-T-Y-L-U-S. So this stylus, like you can see here on the screen, the one I'm trying to point to, there's another one here. So you use the stylus to draw onto this graphic tablet, and then this information is directed to the computer. Now, digitizers are mostly used by people like architects when they are drawing plans, say houses, bridges, roads, and the like. They are also used by engineers when they are drawing designs for components. They are also currently used by artists. Like you can see here, there is a nice caricature or cartoon that is being drawn here. So instead of drawing on the paper and then transferring it by taking a photo, the artist can just draw directly on the graphic tablet, and the information is captured into the computer. And then lastly but not least, we have got the digital camera. A digital camera stores its images in digital form, as opposed to the traditional camera, which I've put here, as opposed to the traditional camera that stores its images on films. Learner, you can see here, this user here has got a long ribbon. This long ribbon is what we call the film that was used in the traditional camera. But the digital camera does not use this technology, but instead it is stored in digital form. So after photos have been taken, either a still photo or a video, the user can then take the camera using a special cable called an interface cable, transfer the images to the computer for either further processing or for printing. Learner, we have reached the end of our lesson today, even though it has been a bit noisy in the background because of the heavy rains, but I hope you have moved with me well. Let us stop there for now. Thank you and welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel because this is where I'll be posting many pieces of material that will be useful to you. Thank you and take care. Meet you next time.